The Dog and Deuce Show is produced by Dymar Productions in association with Studio B Productions.
Coming to you from the headquarters of Studio B in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. We're back after an extended break, and we've got a ton to talk about. The Jazz are taking advantage of the schedule softening up. Andy Ludwig returns to Utah. Clemson won the national championship. Plus, it's championship week in the NFL. All that, much more, coming up on Dog and Deuce number 275.
Hey, this is Paul Kruger from the Baltimore Ravens. You're listening to the Dog and Deuce Show. Go Utes.
From Studio B in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. Join the conversation at doganddeuce.com or send an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening to episode 275 of the Dog and Deuce Show. If you want to know more, and I sure hope you do, follow along with the show notes at doganddeuce.com.
Watch the show all weekend long on K-Patter TV and Backcountry TV. Or listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We would love to hear from you. Drop us a line over on Twitter. We are at Dog and Deuce. I'm Dog.
I'm Deuce.
Episode 275. Happy New Year.
Woo-wee!
How was your New Year's?
I mean, not wild.
Not wild, I know, right?
Uneventful.
I spent it watching the Utes lose. By myself in the basement of my new place while my daughter's upstairs playing, far away from my loud expletives.
Yeah, I mean, what a miserable scenario.
That was a disaster.
The first 30 minutes were tremendous.
They were great.
Yeah.
I mean, they were coasting.
I'm not going to lie. When we went over to one of my kids' friend's house and to pull off the 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
So you get the kids in bed. And I mean, I was actually sober.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since
When's the last time you had a sober New Year's?
It's become more and more common, I'm not going to lie, but it just sort of feels weird, even though I'm a semi-adult.
It will always feel weird.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amateur hour, so I try to stay pro, keep it straight.
Yep.
Keep it tucked in. Yeah, first 30 minutes, tremendous. Go over there, I eat some soup. And then I look and I say, expletive, expletive. And I was like, oh, man, it's over. We tried to fight. The conclusion was already that it was done.
It was done. I mean, and you could feel it. And we're not going to rehash the game because it did happen weeks ago. But you could feel it coming. It sucked. And
Cal Whittingham's second bowl loss.
Yeah, it's
Who
crazy.
was the other one, too?
Boise State in the Vegas Bowl.
There.
It was there in the rain. It was a nightmare. That was horrible.
The only positive I could take is at least I haven't seen his only bowl loss. That was my take.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's another one.
Now there's another one.
Attend.
Now there's another one. Yeah.
That was my positive outtake from it.
Yeah, that was a bummer. And then trying to I let my daughter stay up till midnight to watch the ball drop. And they didn't even show the ball drop, by the way.
It was a weird one. They didn't?
I don't remember. I was so pissed off from the game. And I was just
Eyes of fury.
This sucks. And I was just by myself. And so I'm like, all right, Allie, come downstairs. Let's watch this ball drop.
Right.
I was trying to have a good attitude. And then I wasn't even paying attention. And then it's midnight and Happy New Year, all that. I give her a hug. And all right, time for bed. And she goes, Daddy, they didn't even show the ball drop. Because I was explaining, at midnight, the ball's going to come down. And that's how you know it's the new year.
Right.
And she's like, Daddy, they didn't even show it drop.
Right.
So I guess they didn't. I don't know.
Land of the free.
Any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I do have one. And I'm doing all right at it. It's to be less competitive.
Oh, that's going to be a struggle for you.
I know.
You live and breathe with competition.
I know. Well, I watched this thing, and I recommend you should watch it as well.
Okay.
It was a surfing movie.
Uh-huh.
My new favorite person on the face of the earth, other than my family and friends, you included, is a surfer named Rob Machado. Do you know?
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kelly Slater.
I used to be way into surfing back in the day.
Yeah, well, him and Kelly Slater, and you know about their whole thing where they basically invented surfing videos.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They lived in, I can't remember the other dude's house. It was this 30 for 30 in Hawaii on Pipeline, which is
crazy.
Yeah.
In the winter, that goes nuts.
Yeah, and they met this guy, and they did the first video, and it was they all turned out to be world champions. I mean, if I remembered all their names, obviously you know who Kelly Slater is,
right.
But all of them turned out to win a world championship or be highly competitive on the tour. and he just quit. Rob Machado quit. He was going to beat Kelly, and he'd had a killer wave. And, I mean, Kelly Slater was cutthroat. I don't know if you know, like, even to his friends. Like when
I didn't know that.
When he was
trying. He was like Michael Jordan.
Right. And he was all about it. Like, winning was like his fuel, you know? And so he comes out of a killer wave, and Kelly gives him a 5. And a lot of people speculate. Kelly said it wasn't. Rob Machado said he didn't know. He wants to hear the story. So, like, when you're going for a wave, if you get there first, you have first right.
You can't drop in on someone.
And so he gave him a 5 so he could intentionally go out because he couldn't turn.
Right.
And he would have the next wave. He got it and beat Machado.
Oh, man.
And so, but then I watched Rob Machado. He's like, I just quit. It just wasn't in it for me. The competition of surfing is unnecessary. And he's like one of the first ones to be like a free ride surfer.
Right.
And be very successful and be able to make
get
money
sponsored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a lot of it has to do when Kelly Slater's.
That's cool. I knew they had a surfing 30 for 30, but
you should watch it.
I'll watch that.
It was like I probably watched it on Christmas, the day after Christmas, the 26th. I was like, that dude speaks to me.
I gotta see.
So
that.
if Rob Machado's, we might have to try to get him on.
That would be great. Like get Kelly Slater on.
I don't know about Kelly, man.
You can do that. Come on, he's over the hill.
I'm just saying, it spoke to me. I was like, that's it. That's what I got to do is lose the competitiveness to gain the happiness.
It's true. It's true.
It's hard though.
You can't turn that off, man.
I try it. I'm doing pretty good.
Good job, man.
I told one person, and I was like, you obviously know. She's like, are you even competitive? And I was like, no, I'm not. Totally not.
No.
I was like, see, this is how you know when I'm around you. I'm not exactly being 100% myself. Like,
you're obviously. This obviously happened because you got destroyed in football this year.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that too.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, I did.
I did. You did again for the.
But see, it doesn't even matter. It's not really my happiness.
Yeah. Brush your shoulders off.
We'll see who picks the Super Bowl, right?
We'll see. But so far in the playoff competition, I'm not up much. 2 games.
You're really trying to ruin my New Year's resolution.
I know. I'm gonna get you back, James. I'm gonna get you back. But I'm 6-2 on the playoffs. You're 4-4, so not that far off.
Yeah,
It took me having a perfect week last week, though.
I mean, I told you I was hesitant to pick the Bears, as any Bears fan would know. And the double doink, in the immortal words of Chris Collinsworth, we lose.
That was rough, man.
And then the dude goes on Good Morning America.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You don't go on Good Morning America when you miss.
No.
You go on
what did
when
he
you
say? What could he possibly say?
I couldn't even watch it. I was just like,
what?
Dude, why are you going on Good Morning America? And even Matt Nagy said, like, no, he didn't ask. And I'm really not supportive of that.
Yeah, I don't blame him, man. I mean, you don't, after a loss, the day after a loss.
What are you going to say?
There's nothing you can, I don't know, man. And kickers are.
Courageous. It was very courageous.
Well, he kept him in the game. He kept
All
you guys
I'm saying
in the
is
game.
Matt Gay.
Yeah.
Bears. Matt Gay is available.
Yep.
Look for him. Find him.
Never understood
Wind and
why.
snow are not going to bother him.
No, not at all. No, he's been
Bring
there,
him
man.
on. That would be exciting.
He can do it for sure. Let's talk a little Jazz basketball to kick off this 2019. I hope everyone had a good break. I know we had kind of a long.
Hold on though. What is your New Year's resolution?
Mine
that you won't keep, like I won't, most likely.
Mine, I don't really have one. Just kind of to be not. My big problem is when I get in the car, I just get so frustrated.
Right.
I get so frustrated by other drivers, and my goal is just to chill that out a little bit because it's not a good example for the kids.
Stop driving?
I'm not going to stop driving, and I've actually so far I've done pretty good.
Nice.
I've done pretty good. But that's pretty much it. I mean, and that's something I can always work on.
Yeah, for sure. There you go.
So there you go.
We'll keep track.
We'll definitely keep track. See who's gonna who do you got money on to keep this going longer?
Probably you.
I don't think so. I was gonna say you.
I don't know, man. I really like winning.
Yeah. You do have that competitive spirit.
I know. It's not good. It's not good. I'm losing it. It's gone. No longer.
Speaking of competitive spirit, Joe Ingles was on Adrian Wojnarowski. I can never say his name. Wojnarowski's. Is that it?
Wojnarowski.
Why can I never say that?
Wojnarowski.
He was on his podcast, and it was a great listen. If you have not listened to that, go check that out. Joe Ingles is the man.
He's the dude.
He is the man. I mean, just listening to him, and he's funny when he wants to be, but he's even funnier when he doesn't want to be. When he's just talking
Is
like
that
a
a
normal
compliment
dude.
or not?
I don't know. I love it. I love it, but I don't know if it's a compliment or not. But he kind of broke down his trash talking, talked about Donovan Mitchell coming up, the rise of him, talked about Gordon Hayward leaving. It was actually a really great interview. Talked about Quinn Snyder.
Who would be the American comparable to Joe Ingles in basketball?
Joe Ingles is in his own league, man. There's no
one who's comparable like that. Come on.
I mean, what are we talking about? We talking about skill set? We talking about trash
talking
talking?
about a good NBA player, not great, but whose skill set other than scoring in basketball has an impact on a game. And
ooh, that's tough.
And I love Joe Ingles, so I need to say that, preface that for this comment is you might look at him if you saw him in a store and be like, he could be a basketball player because he's tall.
He's tall, right.
But you're not going to be overwhelmed, maybe.
Right.
He's
not going to get the cliche tall guy question all the time.
Right.
You play basketball?
Right.
I'm sure he'll get it, but not as often as someone else.
Right.
He's
You
got
know
the
what I
build
mean?
for it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, what, 6'8"? Is that what he is? In the world. And all of them get that question just because if you're not 6'8", you think, why aren't you playing basketball?
Right, exactly.
You know, but he's not the one who you're going to pick out unless you're an avid Jazz fan. Comparable? Do you have one? I don't.
Not off the top of my head. I'd have to think about that. And you might have to go back decades to find it. I mean,
801-47 Sport.
Seriously, like
American.
Bill Laimbeer, only he was a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
But
Bill Laimbeer was mean.
Speaking of the bad boys, though, there's been a video floating around, an old clip of Jerry Sloan getting into it with Dennis Rodman when he was playing for Detroit. And Jerry Sloan blows Dennis Rodman a kiss.
Dude.
It is the greatest. I'm going to try and find that and put it in the show notes for episode 275 because it is fantastic.
And that was before Dennis Rodman went abstract.
Right. He didn't have any tattoos.
Nope.
No colored hair, no nose piercing, nothing.
Just he was oh man.
But they were going at it, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, do you remember when Thurl Bailey, Christmas Eve, hit the game-winning shot? God, this must have been 90.
That I do not remember.
He hit the game-winning shot on Christmas Eve in Auburn Hills because, the Jazz used to go on their famous
Christmas road trip.
Yeah, which they don't really do anymore.
They don't do that, yeah.
Or haven't, at least, this year. And, Big T from the baseline drops it in.
Love that, man.
Woo!
Love it. So right now the Jazz, the schedule is softened up a little bit, which is very welcome. Donovan Mitchell has finally found his groove again, and he is playing out of his mind. He's playing like we expected him to play at the beginning of this year. He's playing better than he did last year. He's now had to take up the point guard duties because all three point guards are hurt for the Jazz. And he has been seeing the court much better than I expected. I actually, when I found out he was going to be running point, I got a little nervous. I wasn't real thrilled about it because I thought the last thing he needed was the ball in his hands more. And I was worried that it would we would see a lot more of what we saw early on in the season where he just tried to do too much. But his assists are way up, obviously. He's seeing the floor really well. He's running the offense really well. And so definitely that's a positive. That's definitely a positive. But let's keep in mind that the schedule has evened out a little bit. And it's definitely also a product of that. But he's also he's not trying to do as much as he did before. He was trying to force too many shots. Teams were scouting for him, and he was trying to do the same stuff he did when they weren't scouting for him. And you just can't do that.
That is true. I mean, I would point out during this stretch where we've had all 3-point guards out, our offensive efficiency has actually ticked down a little, but our defense efficiency has ticked up substantially. Yep. One thing I will say, since he's taken over responsibility of the point, is he's going to the rack more.
Yes.
And
we've been screaming about this all season long. He's got to get to the rack.
This is where he excels.
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest. Donovan Mitchell is an average, maybe even below average 3-point shooter. Now, he may make them in end-of-game scenarios, et cetera, but far beyond, I'd much rather see him going to the rim. It opens up avenues for Favors, Ingles, Korver, and Gobert, which you've seen him demonstrate his ability to get the ball to them in the right spots at the right time. So that has been an exciting development. But I would also caution here, and this is something that and I'm sure Coach Snyder and Jazz management have thought of, is it sustainable? Because right now what he's doing, not only is he playing a lot of minutes, it's a lot to put on his shoulders as only a true sophomore in the NBA, right? And while it looks good now, I'm not sure how viable it is long term. I mean, for as much criticism, and it's a lot from Jazz Nation, as Ricky Rubio, Dante Exum, and Hal Neto get, they actually provide a very important piece to the Jazz success when playing well, and that is that Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to bear bringing it up, starting the offense, and focusing on defense. So, I mean, yeah, kudos. 4-game winning streak, could be 5 tonight if they beat the Clippers.
They're up 14 right now.
Up 14 in the third, right?
Right at the end of the third,
At the end of the third. And they've looked good, but you mentioned, I mean, super decline in the schedule. And let's not forget, this team was down 22 points to Orlando.
Well, and there have been a couple games here where they've had to make serious comebacks, like against Detroit.
And Orlando.
And you just can't.
I quit watching the Orlando game.
I was this close.
Honestly, I was like, what is...
If they had not gone on the run at the exact time that they did, I would have turned it off.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine it. I'm like, well, I'll go read a book.
It's like we're going to lose twice to Orlando this year.
And I'm reading bad books. That's how bad the game was. Not even good ones.
The big concern for the Jazz, though, obviously, is the offense, and you just hit that, and it is a problem. It gets to this point where all teams have droughts during games. All teams do, and if you ever look at other teams' Twitters, fan bases' Twitter, hashtags or whatever, they always complain, "Oh, here comes our patented slump." Every team does it. The Jazz, though, is bad. When they hit that slump, it is really, really bad. So that's when the defensive proficiency is so important, because you have just got to keep that defense going until you can get the offense going again. But, I mean, we've been saying it all year. They need some help offensively. And I know a lot of people have been frustrated with Ricky Rubio. I do not really fall in that camp. Ricky Rubio is who he's always been. I don't think he's going to change. He had a better season last year, but I just think he's so important, though. And to me, I think he's so important because he is a true point guard. He runs that offense. Having him out is tough. Dante Exum, before he got hurt, was playing really, really well. And that's why when this injury happened to him, it's like, oh, God, here we go again, man. Right when he starts showing that promise, something creeps up and he's got an injury. And I don't know what the status is, but
deja vu.
Yeah, same thing all over again, and we got every single year. And so we need to get him healthy and keep that momentum going for him, because he was actually coming alive. Jazz are now up 16 at the end of the third. Donovan Mitchell already has 26 points. He's got a plus-minus of 22.
They are playing well.
And this against Clippers. The Clippers are really good this year.
Yeah, they're not bad. 24-19. And this is a good part. And here's a question for you. Look, the schedule is weak right now, minus the Clippers. I know they have the Spurs.
They got Portland twice coming up.
But in between there, it's pretty weak, right? And here's my question. Is this what the Jazz needed to compete with the better teams going forward? Because at this point, look, they started poorly. I don't think that's disputable at this point, right? And they lost some games to some teams they shouldn't have. The Magic in Mexico City. They've lost to Dallas at least once that I can remember. Memphis a couple times.
Yep.
Sacramento once, beat them once, right? And Sacramento's still at 23-21. Did they need this sort of lull or low point in the schedule or easy point to gain confidence so they can compete? Because I know they played the toughest schedule, but they still have a lot of tough games to play. I mean, they got to play, and this is just off the top of my head, Oklahoma City at least 2 more times. LA, I think, probably 2 more times. Houston, probably 2 more times. Golden State, 3 more.
Yep.
So, Denver a couple more times at least. I think they've played them twice. So, I mean, there are still some tough games in the future, right? And was it this sort of easing in the schedule that allows them to gain their confidence, get some wins that maybe can lead to an ascension and rise up, the numbers as far as playoff seeding or into the playoffs. Because right now, I think they're still tied. As I look at it, let's see.
They're tied with the Lakers.
Tied with the Lakers for 8th.
For 8th, yeah.
So,
and the Lakers, LeBron's going to be hurt for at least 2 or 3 more games.
Yeah, and the Lakers have been 4-6 in their last 10, whereas the Jazz are 7-3.
Just as a bit of an aside here, and I know you think I hate LeBron James.
You do.
But I'm going to say this. When is the last time you've seen one player make that big of a difference?
It's crazy.
They were on fire when he was in the lineup.
I know.
He goes out and they just suck. They suck. They are in the last 10, 4-6, but since the Christmas game, it's been a nightmare for them.
Right.
Look at Cleveland. He leaves Cleveland. They're like the worst team in the league or close to it.
And that was the NBA Finals team.
That was a Finals team.
Nothing much has changed on that team, really.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
He's a rare bird.
And that's why when people say, not the greatest player, maybe not, but he's certainly in the conversation. But when people are like, oh, it's not even a question, it's Michael Jordan. No, it's definitely a question. It's definitely debatable. I'm not going to say he is the greatest player of all time, but I'm telling you what, to just dismiss it is ridiculous.
I love Mike, and Mike was, and Kobe had this too, that sort of killer mentality.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's gone in the game in general.
Yep.
We just watched before we came on air how Kyrie called LeBron. Can you imagine Tony Kukoc after he left the Bulls calling Mike Jordan to be like, dude, I need your advice.
Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry made that video making fun of LeBron James.
Right.
At some party.
Well, and Kyrie is, I think they have a way better chance last year if Kyrie's in Cleveland.
Oh, absolutely.
They
might win.
They won with him, and he
Right.
hit the game-winning shot.
Exactly. So I didn't want to go too far off track, but it's just
welcome,
it's unbelievable.
Welcome to
I've
the
always
LeBron
said
train.
this.
Yeah, welcome to the LeBron train.
I think we're not going to get into this. He has no self-awareness whatsoever. That's my big gripe with him. But
his self-awareness is I am the greatest.
Well, he definitely has that. Yeah.
That's awareness. That's fact.
But here's the thing. So I've listened to David Locke quite a bit, and a lot of people kind of give him a lot of flack, but he runs these numbers a lot. And Oklahoma City right now sits at 26-17. They are 3rd in the West. They have had the easiest schedule in the NBA up to this point. David Locke said that he is 100% convinced that if the Jazz had played that schedule, they would have that record and be right there, maybe even a little bit higher. And while I can agree that the schedule was definitely a hindrance, and it definitely affected the Jazz record, without a doubt. You can't deny that. The problems that they faced, though, were not solely based on a tough schedule, because we're seeing this now. Like you mentioned, against Orlando, you go down 20. Against Detroit, I think they went down 18, and they have to make these comebacks. There's some problems offensively that they got to get fixed. And I don't know if they can do it with this roster. I think they're going to have to make another move and get someone else. And I don't know if that's waiting until the offseason and getting someone in free agency. That's proven difficult here in Salt Lake City at times. Maybe they make a trade. I don't know. The guy I don't want to see traded, though, but is always the first person mentioned in any single trade proposal, is Derek Favors.
That's my dude.
Derek Favors, and look, he's not going to put up all-star numbers. He's not going to be putting up 20 and 10 every game, but he is the single player who has been the most consistent of any player other than Rudy Gobert on this Jazz team.
Well, we just talked about LeBron James being a rare bird. So is Derek Favors in this sense, right? I think Derek Favors could get 18 to 20 a game and 10 rebounds.
I think he could too.
But he's
playing within the system. That's
he's willing to sacrifice his personal, statistical line every night to get to accomplish more with the team.
And you know what that is?
Rare bird.
That's Jazz basketball.
That's basketball.
That's a Jazz player. That's a team is everything player.
Let me ask you this. And Cleveland's been a big trade partner with the Jazz recently.
Yeah.
What if it was Kevin Love for Derek Favors?
I probably,
money aside, just straight up.
I probably wouldn't, because, and I understand, I get why people would want Kevin Love. Kevin Love is constantly hurt. We don't need someone who's injury prone. We don't need any more of those guys. We already got a bunch of them.
Yep.
and Derek Favors is consistent. When Rudy Gobert goes out, look, you're not going to make up that defensive hole that's created when Rudy Gobert's out. You're just not.
At times, I think Derek Favors is as admirable on the defensive end as Rudy.
Yeah, he has his moments for sure, but Rudy's just so consistently amazing on defense. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Right.
It's a different level. Talk about a rare bird.
Yeah, rare bird.
I don't think there's another player in the league that even comes close. Draymond Green, maybe because he does different things. He can guard out on the perimeter.
Jordan in his prime was pretty good.
DeAndre Jordan?
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Drummond is close, but not nearly as athletic.
No. And Detroit fans are really frustrated with Andre Drummond. But
well, I'm frustrated with Detroit.
yeah, me too. Tell me about it. But Derek Favors, he's going to give you those putbacks. He's going to give you a couple block shots, and he's going to rebound the hell out of the ball every time it goes up. I just say, and he can score.
So then, who
just
would
stop
you be
shooting
willing?
The three. They gotta stop. They gotta stop telling him it's okay to shoot the three.
So then, who would you propose? You say we need offense,
and I don't know. I honestly have to look at this, and I probably should have come in more prepared with that, but I'm not sure. But
George Niang, he's pretty good. I like what George Niang brings to our team. I mean, you got to go down the roster in order to make a move like that. You got to be willing to get. I mean, you got to
give someone up, right?
Yeah,
and maybe a young prospect. If Grayson Allen could get some more meaningful minutes, and he's actually been playing well recently.
He did.
Then
block shot tonight or last night.
Yeah,
the other night.
That's right. There's a lot of teams out there who love potential. They love it, and they're willing to give up something if maybe the roster's not working.
What about Tony Bradley?
Yeah, maybe.
He's pretty. I can't remember if he was a late first or early second, but
well, would you give up Favors for Kevin Love if the
I'd
money worked?
I'd have to know more about where Kevin Love is in his injury scenario.
Sure.
He would add an element that the Jazz have never had.
What's that?
A big at that size who can shoot the three. He can pass really well.
Yep. True.
Extremely well. Like probably, in my opinion, he's one of the best 6'10" passing people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He rebounds pretty well. He's a defensive liability now, but he can shoot and he can score, and he can rebound. He rebounds really well. I would consider it if I knew what his injury status was.
Right.
And I'd have to talk to doctors and him. He'd obviously have to pass the physical. And that kills me because I've said Derek Favors is as important as Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and I believe that.
Yep.
Because he's one of those people who's just so even keel.
Yeah, he doesn't get rattled.
Yeah.
He's going to go out there and he's willing to sacrifice the points, man.
But we see it in this day and age. As much as I love defense, which I love it, and basketball, football, everything, there comes a time where the Jazz against higher level opponents struggle to put the ball in the hole.
You're not going to shut down Golden State
the
way you were able to shut down Detroit with Blake Griffin.
Well, did you see that Golden State Denver game last night?
56, was it 51 or 56?
51-38 in the first quarter. 51-38.
I mean, that's insane. 51 points in the first quarter.
You'd never think if I score 38 points, you're going to be down by 13.
Right.
Crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, what the Golden State Warriors are about to do, I think, is going to be insane.
It's going to be pretty depressing.
I mean, it's just what we've talked about. It's just how do you even enjoy the league when you just crown them right now?
You just smile.
That's all you can do.
Pay that money.
That's all you can do.
Make that Gail Miller Trust more wealthy.
Right? Exactly. Jazz are up 17, 9 minutes left in the fourth.
Good.
They already have 98
5 in
points.
a row.
This is one of their good offensive nights.
They come occasionally.
They do come. It needs to happen more often, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, here's the bottom line, and we talked about it. Crowder was struggling the last few games. He's back on it tonight. You got to take the shots when they're there. Donovan Mitchell done a great job of distributing and being the player or returning to resemblance of the player he was last year. For me, the majority of that is getting to the rim and making, inside of 12 feet, those shots accessible. Drawing the big men out, allowing Rudy a lot of easy touches, as well as Derek Favors. The Joe Ingles, Derek Favors pick and roll.
Love it. It's a thing of beauty.
It works.
It's so old school.
It looks so awkward, but it works. Every time
really
when
does.
I see Joe Ingles go down there, I'm like, how is this? But it is.
It's
working.
weird because it doesn't work as well with Rudy, and you would think with Rudy it'd be even easier.
No, yeah.
Get those lobs up there, but for some reason he and Favors just they work that pick and roll.
It's beautiful.
It is a thing of beauty. Let's see here. Grayson Allen, of course, I'm just talking about how much potential he has, and he's 0 for 5. Not good.
Kiss of death.
Kiss of death. All right.
We should add here, though, and you can comment on this as well. A friend of the show, a guy who you did a show with, Clint Peterson, is going through some rough times. Possible heart transplant. I don't think I'm breaking any news or any HIPAA because it's on the internet. But I want to extend to him, our best wishes. We've retweeted the link to the GoFundMe. Give if you can, and wish Clint, the best possible outcome from a difficult scenario.
Clint is a guy that Jazz Twitter Nation knows him very well. He's all over the place. He's a guy that I didn't know personally. I just knew him from Twitter, and then I met him, and he was even more awesome than I ever expected.
Right.
The guy is so knowledgeable, and he's so much fun to talk basketball with, and he's such a nice guy. We even talked music, man. We talked Metallica.
It's a good band.
I'm the only one in the world that loves Saint Anger, that record. I'm the only one. Clint said he threw it out of his truck.
Wow.
When he heard it.
Unacceptable.
I love that one, man.
I don't love it, but it's not bad.
I love it. So anyway, if you can, we will put a link to the GoFundMe on the show notes.
And even if you can't give money, a lot of times in dealing with circumstances like this, just give love, whether it's via Twitter or Facebook or the GoFundMe. Just let them know you're out there thinking about them, praying for them if that's your persuasion, or just sending the good vibes. A good attitude and love can go a long way in a difficult scenario.
He's such a great guy too. Such a great guy.
I'm into that.
Okay, let's take a quick little break here, and we're gonna come back. And what do you want to do? You want to talk Andy Ludwig?
Got to.
All right, it's Dog and Deuce. Stay with us.
Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
Hey, this is Fireman Ed, and you're listening to Dog and Deuce Show, man. Great guys, great show, man. Listen up.
So Andy Ludwig is back. He was kind of the OG offensive coordinator scapegoat for Ute fans. And I just remember back in the day, so many fans would get so frustrated with him. And, I'm listening to a lot of the local media, and I don't know exactly what he did when he went to Vanderbilt, when he left Utah. He obviously did great. And looking at the numbers, since then, he turned that offense around, which is pretty incredible. But I do remember being very frustrated with him. And looking back, though, hindsight, it's like, well, maybe this was the start of Kyle Whittingham messing with the offense. Because if he's done that great with Vanderbilt, and people look back at those Brian Johnson days, and they think, it's easy to think that, wow, that was a really talented offense. And it was, but that offense didn't really perform consistently well unless it was in the 2-minute drill, unless it was late in the game and Brian Johnson was just going off the seat of his pants.
Yeah.
Or in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our honestly, your last recollection is the Sugar Bowl demolishing of Alabama,
right,
which was an epic offensive performance.
It was.
But I wouldn't really say that was the norm, right?
No,
during that year. I mean, they scored points, but it wasn't prolific. And it took, against inferior competition, when they played TCU and Oregon State, who ironically was pretty good that year.
Yeah, they were really good. They beat USC the week before.
Right. They struggled until the final 4 minutes of the game where Brian Johnson led amazingly impressive comeback drives.
Yep.
Right? And Ute fans were very critical of Andy Ludwig for his play calling, which at times felt very repetitive and easy to predict, right? As well as, I mean, a lot of people felt like some of the bigger options weren't used. I mean, Brent Castile, who played a big role in the Sugar Bowl, seemed to not play as much of a role during the regular season, right?
Yep.
I mean, he had moments, but you felt like when you saw those moments, you felt like, well, why isn't 5 getting the ball more?
Yeah, because he always performed when his number was called. He always came through.
And I mean, so here's the real question: do you like the hire?
I do like the hire. I like it for a couple reasons. First of all, he's proven that he can do it with Vanderbilt. Absolutely. And second of all, if Witt is going back to the well, then he must be pretty confident in Andy Ludwig, and maybe, just maybe, he'll let Andy Ludwig have a little bit of freedom, a little bit more freedom than. And you know what? There's always that talk like, does Witt really control the offense that much? Is he really micromanaging that much? I got to think, just based on what I've seen, that he is. I have to think that. And I think there was bad blood with Troy Taylor. I'm not saying he was showed the door, but I think there was some bad blood there. I remember some post-game interviews with Witt where he pretty much called him out. And so I'm thinking maybe he's bringing back a guy that he knows, that he trusts, and that he can trust to actually do the job. And so that's what I'm hoping. I do like the hire. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, here's what I will say. It's safe, right? I mean,
yeah.
Last time he was your OC, you had a undefeated season and beat Alabama, so it's safe.
Right.
It's safe also in the sense that you know him very well. He was on the staff before 2008. I mean, he was part of the Urban Meyer run.
Yep.
So you know him really well, and you've kept in contact with him. It's safe that way. You have a personal relationship as well as a coaching relationship, and that coaching relationship was extremely successful. I mean, and afterwards, I mean, let's be clear. After he left here, he went to Cal, and from 2009 to 10, then to San Diego State in 11 and 12, Wisconsin, and then he's been at Vanderbilt ever since. Okay, so he's had success on multiple levels. I mean, when he was at Wisconsin, that was Gary Anderson's run.
Oh, that's true. Right.
And he had Melvin Gordon. I mean, he was there in 13 and 14. That's, I believe, unless I'm incorrect, Gary Anderson's first year, where they could have gone really far, but lost a couple games at the end of the year. So there's familiarity, which is what Coach Whittingham liked.
Yeah, he does.
He values that, in my estimation, more than anything. The question is will that look? The Utes are returning. We got good news. Zach Moss coming back,
which is insane.
Julian
man.
Blackmon coming back. Bradley and I coming. Everyone who you would have really missed losing is returning. So the Utes are again.
Except for Chase Hansen, but he's
he can't return anymore.
Exactly.
He's got to go somewhere else. He's old. He's like 26.
He is
literally,
old. Yeah,
he's like 26. So he's done. But anyone who could have left before their senior year senior year is returning. So the cupboard's stocked on both sides of the ball. And I think this is where Kyle Whittingham looked at it objectively and said, I got Zach Moss, I got Armand Shine, I got Brumley right in the backfield. And one thing I know when I talk to Andy Ludwig is if I say give the ball to the running back,
he's going to give the ball to the running back.
He's going to do it, And so the comfort is obviously, I think, the biggest key to why Andy Ludwig is hired. Not that his coaching resume isn't good. I mean, I think I heard Vanderbilt was 4th in offense in the SEC this year. I would point out, though, they had Fred Schirmer's kid as the quarterback. And Schirmer is the New York Giants head coach. So that kid has been around football
his whole life.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't find people that well-versed in football knowledge often. Even when your dad's been a offensive coordinator and up the line to the head coach of the New York Giants, that's an advantage in and of itself. Derek Mason's good coach, and they've done fairly well, as good as you can expect Vanderbilt to do in an SEC. The what is essentially, the minor leagues for the NFL.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not disappointed, but it's not something that instills a great deal of confidence in me.
It's not Sark. It's not Steve Sarkisian,
It's not a lot of people. I mean, Bryles, there were a few people that I thought would have been maybe more, outside of the box thinking. Because let's be honest, I do want to point out here, when Utah fans, and fans are stupid. Let's be honest, okay? You are. When you're in that when we're in that mode, whether you are a sports broadcaster or not, you're dumb. You're not thinking correctly. and here's a perfect reason. I mean, I would point out the most out of the box hire Kyle Whittingham has made in his tenure as head coach is who?
Brian Johnson.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I wouldn't call that an out of the box.
Troy Taylor?
I would say it's Troy Taylor. And Troy Taylor did the one thing that no one else could do. He did win a Division South title as offensive coordinator.
And you know what?
With a backup quarterback.
And he kind of changed the style of play, too.
So, I mean, it's
and
simultaneously,
here's the
I'm
thing.
conflicted.
But here's the thing.
Happy yet conflicted.
The offensive success that they had from the looks of it, Witt was still uncomfortable with it. And I think that's because it wasn't something he's super comfortable with and familiar with.
Because anything that might put his defense in a more difficult position is uncomfortable for Witt.
Yes. And
I would point out, though, and I think this is important to note, right? When you have superb athletes like we do, not only at the running back position, but also at the wide receiver position with Covey, Enos, Nakua, and maybe Puka Nakua coming, because he has not necessarily signed on the dotted line with USC. It's no advantage to have receivers who scare a defense if you don't use them.
Absolutely.
So, Coach Whittingham finds himself in a very difficult position, right? I mean, and you've seen people like Nick Saban. I would say Nick Saban and Kyle Whittingham are in the same ilk previously when it came to defense winning titles. Hence, Jalen Hurts, A.J. McCarron, and the like could win national titles by just not screwing it up for Alabama.
Yep.
I'd say Utah's a lot like that. But although Alabama lost the national title game this year, you saw the development with Tua to something completely different, where not only Alabama was feared defensively or just by their running backs, they were feared quarterback and wide receiver.
Absolutely.
So even Nick Saban has been willing to make that adjustment where he realized, dang, it's really hard for my offense to hold everyone under 10 when we only score 20. I need to make some changes, and he has. Kyle Whittingham did it. It seemed uncomfortable. And I don't even know if Andy Ludwig will change the offense completely. I sort of doubt he won't.
I don't think he will. I mean, when you have players coming back, you cannot totally, and we've seen Utah offensive coordinators come in and do this. You just can't change everything like that. You just can't. The players
there's no need to. They were successful at times.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so I don't expect him to upend the whole playbook. I mean, that's just stupid. You have these players who were recruited because they play this style, and you can't just change that.
Right.
It's been a disaster when it's happened before. Andy Ludwig is smart enough to know that. But you better damn well believe that Zach Moss is going to get the ball more often.
Right.
Which he should.
How much? I don't know his total number of carries, but also, I mean, allegedly, he injured himself getting out of bed. I find that sort of weird and almost unbelievable.
Well, I think it was a pre-existing injury that was tweaked or something.
So, I mean, and look, let's be honest, Armand Shine didn't look overly impressive for most of the time. I mean, there were bright spots here and there, but it wasn't overwhelmingly amazing, right? When he was the only running back. So you do have to protect Zach Moss a little bit.
You have to.
Right? So I hear a lot of people on the radio. I don't know why I listen to him. He's going to get 35 carries. Please don't.
No.
25 max. If
he can't get the Devontae Booker numbers. Just can't. He can't do that.
And it's unnecessary because when Devontae Booker was here, we didn't have Covey.
Exactly.
Enos, Nakua.
Or a quarterback who could actually throw the ball pretty well and could run.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm conflicted because it feels safe, and sometimes safe just means you go back to what you were.
I'm kind of fine with that, though.
It's not a bad hire.
With the talent that we have coming back, I'm fine with that.
Well,
if this was like the John Hayes years, it'd be a little bit different.
Hey, Norm Chow won with John Hayes.
Barely. No, I don't think he did win very much because I remember.
We won a bowl game.
No, he won a bowl game.
We didn't do that this year.
That's true. Norm Chow couldn't even make the Ute offense good, and he's an offensive genius. So.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's safe. I'm comfortable with it. Would I have liked to see something more? Yeah. Would I have liked another out of the box? I mean, it's sort of weird in that sense, and I mentioned it earlier. Tell me what you think there, dog. I mean, dude, first out of the box hiring, bringing a completely new offense in, and you win the South within 2 years, and now you're going back to something familiar. It seems sort of inherently contradictory.
No, I know what you're saying. And I don't think if this wasn't someone who has been in the program before, I don't think this type of hire would have been made.
And it should be pointed out, I mean, he can run the read option. He did it with Alex Smith.
He did great. Yeah, phenomenal.
So,
that's kind of bread and butter for what the Utes are doing. And I like it, though. I like it. And the more I've thought about
You're
it.
optimistic.
I am.
That's unusual for you.
Especially when you're talking Utah offense.
Turning a page, man.
It feels weird. It feels uncomfortable to be optimistic about the Utah offense. But just with the great news, all the guys coming back, especially Zach Moss.
How long does it take for you to sour on this hire? Game 3? Game
Probably.
4?
No. Well, it depends on how we play against BYU. It could be game 1. Could be game 1. We'll see. Speaking of BYU, we'll just mention this real quick, and then we're running really short on time. Rivalry's extended.
Ding, ding.
People are pissed about it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I know you and I we truly believe that this rivalry is a good thing. Rivalries are good for college sports.
And I liked
They're
it
good
at
for
the end of
sports
the
in
year.
general. Well,
I loved it. Dude,
when
I
they
liked it
when they
so
announced
much
it,
more.
When they announced it at the end of the year, I was really happy. But it does kind of take some of the oomph away when you've just been playing a conference schedule.
It doesn't to me. I loved it at the end of the year. First of all, I don't want to play BYU when it's hot.
It doesn't feel right. It
No,
doesn't feel
it's
right.
awkward.
It should be uncomfortable. It should be freezing. You should have to suffer to go to
You
these
should
games
have
and deal with
snot boogers, man, that
Exactly.
are just freezing to your face when you're
Exactly.
playing BYU.
Exactly.
I
But
liked it at the end of the year, but it's
I'm
extended.
happy, and
First game of the year, I'm going to tell you right now, I think the streak ends next year.
I do not like it at the first game of the year.
New offensive coordinator. We struggled versus Weber.
It's true.
It
true.
ends next year. Congratulations.
be.
Great scheduling, guys.
Although BYU's offense is pretty bad too. So
They got a quarterback named Zach Wilson.
Oh yeah, and I forgot he's like the new Heisman contender, right?
Gonna get it.
Because he played great in
Band of
in
brothers.
the Idaho Potato Bowl.
Hang loose.
We're poking fun a little bit, but it's a little ridiculous.
It's getting
how
that
over the
way.
top people,
It's already started.
Fans, and it's not just BYU fans. All fans do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We have 10 minutes left. I do want to say congratulations to the Clemson Tigers for putting a beat down on Nick Saban. That was fun to watch. Not going to lie. Took pleasure in that. And then they got hamburgers at the White House. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, these are athletes who really watch what they eat, and they work their butts off, and then they go to the White House and they get just greasy, terrible garbage food.
Big Macs.
I mean,
come on.
I wonder how when
you don't like
you
the
eat,
Big Mac?
Well, when
You don't like the Big
I
Mac?
love the Big Mac. It's great. But when
Great
you
move.
eat well and you really watch what you eat, and then you go eat something like that, you get really sick.
Yeah, it's true.
And I wonder how many of these guys got sick after that.
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm not talking about the linemen. They eat that stuff like it's going out of style. I'm
Okay.
talking about like, come on, man, quarterbacks.
It's a cheat day for him.
Cheat day. All right, cheat day. You're at the White House.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the NFL
Mm-hmm.
championship weekend.
Love it.
AFC, NFC championship games. Let's start. You want to start in the AFC?
No, NFC. Game 1. First
All right.
game.
All
Let's
right,
do
we'll
it.
do that. Now it's getting difficult to pick these.
It's getting crunched
Some
out.
of the other ones were pretty easy. Well, not easy, but this one's tough though. Rams are heading to New Orleans,
The Dome.
and that is a loud building.
Woo.
It's a tough place to play. Weather obviously won't be a factor, but it's rough, man. It's rough. And Drew Brees is he's Drew
Best
Brees.
Bloody Marys on earth, possibly.
Yeah, probably.
Get one of
Probably.
those.
You got to get a
You
Bloody
got
Mary.
bacon. You
Oh,
got,
yeah.
you got pickled.
You got to get a spicy Bloody Mary with bacon in it. You have to. You have to.
I have like 4 of them. Every
Yeah,
time
right?
I'm
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Dome. Every
yeah.
time. Got
So
it.
good. Oh, man. I think I'm going to go New Orleans because they're the home team. It's a tough place to play. And Drew Brees, man, he's on fire.
Well, and I mean, if you watched last week, they struggled. This was one of those games where the Saints were moving the ball but weren't getting a lot of points, right? And although they opened it up a little bit and got 20 on an Eagles defense who played inspired, their defense really came up big for them. I tend to think that the Rams present a significantly more difficult matchup scenario for the Saints defense than the Eagles did. And the Eagles were right there at the end, minus an Alshon Jeffries drop.
You're going to the upset here.
I am. As much as it pains me to say it, I think the Rams, and don't forget, they've played once this year, and it was a high scorer.
Yeah, that was the
And I love Drew Brees, and I want the Saints to win, but my heart tells me that it's going to be the Rams. Well, no, I'm switching it.
You going New Orleans?
Woo!
Well, that was a quick turnaround.
The reason
Good
I thought
God.
about it is because I forgot Jared Goff's the other player,
Yeah.
other quarterback. Yeah. No, I gotta go Saints. Thanks for convincing me.
That was the biggest flip flop, the fastest flip flop.
John
in the
Kerry's my
history.
idol, man.
John Kerry would be proud of
Yep.
that one, man. Okay, so you're going Saints. I'm going Saints. New England and Kansas City. New England, man, their performance was. I mean, do you think they should have thrown in the towel a little bit earlier?
No.
No.
I don't believe in throwing in the towel. In college, sure. Not in the pros.
Why?
Because you can never be up enough. I was a kid, and I watched the freaking Buffalo Bills be up 35-3 on the Houston Oilers, 1992, I believe. And I couldn't believe it. I remember sitting in front of it. We had a TV in our kitchen back at my parents' house at this point. I don't know why we did that, but we did. And
my parents had that too.
Yeah.
You got to have one in the kitchen, man.
I know. I can't convince my wife, though. I'm trying.
You have to.
And 35-3, thought it was over. Warren Moon was the quarterback. He was hurt. Frank Reich comes in, beats the Bills.
All right. Okay.
Or no, it was opposite. Sorry. The Oilers were up.
Came back.
Yeah,
and
Jim Kelly got hurt. Yeah, sorry. Jim Kelly got hurt. And he came back 35-3. So, no, you always keep scoring.
Okay.
No, I don't believe in throwing.
It's just one more reason to hate the Patriots.
Yeah, well, maybe.
But that was a beatdown. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, 28-14 is way generous. More generous than it was.
I was out of town. Game. I was with some family, and I was kind of pissed because I really wanted to watch this, but we had some stuff going on, and I kind of would catch a TV and see it. I'm just like, oh man, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And just when I thought I couldn't get any worse, it got worse and worse and worse. So I think New England, they're finding their stride right now. Patrick Mahomes playing well though. It's going to be cold again. It's going to be windy again.
I honestly believe the Colts were affected by that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
This is where playing in a dome can hurt.
I'm sorry, looking at just watching the game, that I was getting miserable. I can't imagine sitting there watching that.
But the Patriots play in that weather a lot.
A lot. Yeah, they're used to it.
Yeah. So and it's supposed to be at like 0 at game time. Frigid.
Oh man. And those poor Kansas City fans are going to go out there. They're going to freeze.
They're going to tailgate.
And they're going to lose.
They're going to lose. That's what you're going with.
I'm going with New England.
Here's the thing, and I want to point this out. Andy Reid has given Bill Belichick difficulties, whether it was with Alex Smith.
That's true.
And this year they only lost by a field goal right at the end of the game, week 6, I think it was. If you remember Donovan McNabb, they've met in a Super Bowl.
They have.
And the Eagles could have won that. Realistically, I mean, T.O. didn't play the whole playoffs, came back and gave a pretty miraculous performance, but wasn't himself clearly. So Andy Reid does give Bill Belichick struggles. The Chiefs are a very talented offensive team. I'm going Chiefs.
You're going Chiefs, huh?
I'm going Chiefs. Also, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady on the road in AFC championships are 1-3.
They are? Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's crazy. Do you know how many AFC championships Tom Brady has played in?
No.
13.
Oh, my God.
Almost
That's
a
crazy.
whole year
That's crazy.
of NFL season.
That's insane.
13.
That's just the championship. That's not even all playoff games. That's just the championship.
That's just AFC championships.
That's insane.
It is. It's mind-blowing.
Well, that's why I'm going with them. They got the experience.
Right.
They've been there. It's no big deal.
I hear you. There's something magical about this Chiefs team, though.
I would agree with that. I think.
And they do present a unique matchup where, whether it's Tyreek Hill, they're going to miss the running game. It's too bad, that Kareem Hunt did what he did and is no longer on the team. Because I would be even more sure of this pick if Kareem Hunt was in the backfield.
That would
with
probably
Pat
tip
Mahomes.
me the other way for sure. I don't know.
I got to go with the Chiefs, though. I mean, eventually, Andy Reid's going to get over the hump. Can you imagine what it will do for his stature if he gets the Super Bowl and wins it?
Well, that would be great, but forever he's had a hard time getting out of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, he has been to a Super Bowl.
He has for sure, but more oftentimes than not, he's not getting out of the first round.
Right,
and that's been a big knock on him. He made it this far. It's so hard to bet against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the playoffs in an AFC championship game. It's just so hard.
It totally is, and I hear where you're coming from. I'm telling you, though, Tyreek Hill, he's going to be the difference maker.
I hope
that
you're right.
That little dude is
right.
a Speedy Gonzalez times 1,000.
Times 1,000.
When I see him run, I just or the Roadrunner, like, beep, beep. Yeah, I just think, like, you're
fast
not catching
dude,
him. Yeah, you're not catching him.
Yeah.
Why even try?
Before we close out the show, the Utah Jazz have secured their 5th victory in a row, 129-109.
That's an achievement.
They
5 in a row.
are now in the 7th, or let's see, where are they at now? So they were just behind the Lakers. So now they have the 8th spot secured, don't they? I don't know, but they are within a game at least of the Clippers.
And we should point out there, I mean, as crazy it is to think, they're only 6.5 back from 1.
And this is what we talked about.
2 back from the 4th spot.
This is what we
3
talked
back
about when
from
we
the 3rd.
when we previewed the Jazz and the NBA, and we got so much hate for it. This Western Conference is insane. It's always insane, and it's even worse this year.
Right.
It's crazy.
And Boogie Cousins hasn't even come back.
And he hasn't even played.
I mean,
hasn't played a game.
And Chris Paul has barely played.
Yeah, Chris Paul's barely played.
You know?
James Harden, though, we should say, as much as easy it is to dislike the guy, what he's doing right now is pretty insane.
30 straight.
It's special.
Right? 3-point game, or what is it? 20 straight 30-point games.
And he's going off. He's getting
second all-time behind
30
Wilt.
points in the first half.
I think the longest streak was 65 by Wilt Chamberlain.
It's crazy.
Did you know Wilt Chamberlain never fouled out of a game?
Really?
Never.
Huh. Smart player.
Put that statistically in your mind bank and just have it go like this.
Well, he did a lot of things that
Never
were pretty
fouled
incredible.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's pretty nuts.
And I mean,
he also scored 100 points in a game.
True. He also has a very
points.
prolific record in other areas.
He likes to claim that at least.
20K.
Yeah.
That's something.
20K.
20K.
He claims he's been with 20,000 women. I'm not buying it. I'm calling
Wilt
BS
the
on that.
Stilt, dude.
I'm calling-
R.I.P., big guy.
I'm calling BS on that one.
That's impressive.
That is
in a
impressive.
weird sort of messed up way.
I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's just impressive the feat that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
To have that, I mean,
that
if you did the math, I don't even think it's possible.
The crazy thing is like the fact that you can't deny it immediately is what makes it impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like you're not like, whatever, dude, shut up. Like you're like, well, maybe. I mean, probably
crunch
not.
Those numbers, like how many times a day is that, and how many days in a row, and that's nuts, man.
As we digress.
So Super Bowl matchup, you are picking New Orleans and KC. I'm picking New Orleans and New England, which would be, I think, a phenomenal matchup.
Either of them would be great.
These are going to be great games. I really believe that. So we are definitely going to be previewing the Super Bowl next week. We're also going to be talking more Jazz basketball and whatever else happens.
It should be a fun week. We're happy to get 2019 started on the right track. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the Jazz run. They're going to get that win streak up to 12. I'm confident.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Happy New Year. Until next week, please let us know what you think. Send us an email, dogandDeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for making us a part of your day.